Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yay, thanks, Zach. So we've got some folks that were here in the office with us, I promise, but they've left for a moment. You can at least see me, so you're not looking at just an empty room. And then we do have the agenda doc up. So please do, if you have questions, add something to there. Right now, we don't have anything on the agenda, so this could end up being a very short meeting. But if you have questions, please do add it there. We were going to get an update from the security working group. They stepped out just for a second, but I did want to invite the other working groups to unmute and just give kind of a general update to the broader community.
I guess I can give an update for networking and environments. We are actively working on moving to the V2 Envoy APIs and the new V1 Alpha 3 Istio APIs. The goal is that all that should land for 0.8, the next release, and it looks like we're pretty well on track.
Thanks, Zach. Anybody else have the update that you'd like to share, working groups?
Hi, this is Lynn. I'd like to quickly update everyone on CO7. You guys probably see it's out there. So please give a try. The Helm install, unfortunately, is broken. So I would recommend you to use the YAML file to do the install. If you do want to explore Helm, check out the release notes on the workaround. Else, you probably won't be able to get it working without the workaround. This is not a long-term supported release. That's targeted for 0.8. But we do welcome your feedback. If you ever have a question to the mailing list, it's appreciated if you can try recreate with 0.7 on your issue, 0.7.1.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. I was just talking with someone this morning talking about getting everything updated to the latest version, and that we're coming out fast and furious with new stuff. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Hey, April, I don't know if Costin or Lauren are around to give an environment update, and I know Zach gave a little bit of one, but there's probably some more information.
By all means, would love to have you jump in, Stephen.
Sure. So multi-cluster is looking pretty good. The documentation, the gating, and the implementation have mostly completed or in the review process. So we'll be looking after 0.8 for people to give it a try. And I think that'll be interesting for us to get that feedback, for the environments work group to get that feedback.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's make sure that we give some time to that on a future call when you guys are ready for a lot more testing, and we can make a more specific ask to the community for what we're looking for.
Of course.
Yeah, that's great.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. See, I don't see Spiker. Okay, so we'll get an update from security shortly. The coffee is here, so they can't be too far. Anyone else that wants to kind of jump on and share anything that they've been working on, particularly with the project? Or if you're new to the project and you want to say hi.
That's my cue. I'm Ward Harrell. I'm a solutions architect for Google out of Austin, and it's like I've meant to be on this call for the last 3 months, and I've finally got my schedule around to do it. So.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that you can join us.
Kind of the same thing here. This is Joe Williams. I'm an engineer at GitHub, and we're working with this, kind of getting things going with our service mesh internally.
Welcome.
I can introduce myself too. I'm Ryan. I'm working at Datadog. Same thing as prior. We're working evaluating Istio internally and working on the full installation. And
you guys did a mixer adapter, yes?
I don't know that we ended up publishing that. I think somebody else published
Okay.
it for us. But yeah, we're doing
okay.
we're actually doing a native integration on our end too.
Nice. I just am partial to your mascot, so, you know. Although you're wearing a cat t-shirt today, how does that work?
It's a source of contention.
Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Anybody else want to?
I can say hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Patrick. I'm the systems architect at PlaneGrid, and we're working at implementing Istio for Ingress right now.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
So especially for everyone that's new, and if that includes you and you want to still say hi, by all means, do so. We've got a link in the working doc that links out to our community calendar. And definitely check that out. That's a great way to find out events that are going on in your area, so especially if you're new and are trying to learn and want to get a feel more for what's going on. For instance, there's a Pittsburgh Kubernetes meetup happening tonight where they'll be talking about Istio. We're putting all the working group meetings on this one calendar as well, so everything will all be in one spot. And especially as I think a lot of folks know, we're about to head into conference season. The conferences that we are expecting Istio, or we know Istio will be there either as a session topic or a workshop, something similar, that will also be on that calendar. So if you're just looking for a conference to go to hear about Istio, this will be there. Speaking of conferences, the next one that Istio will be at will be KubeCon EU in Copenhagen. There will be some sessions about Istio as part of that, and then IBM had also grabbed some space to do an Istio workshop, and we'll be working with them on that as well. So there'll be that. That is the first week of May. If anyone wants to make a quick trip over to Copenhagen, and then very promptly after that is Google I/O and then Red Hat Summit. Both are in the San Francisco Bay Area. Unfortunately, they are at the same time, but that's okay. Some of us will just make it possible to be at both places at once. So there's going to be a lot of great Istio stuff happening at the Red Hat Summit. I'm not sure if anyone from Kevin or Di just wants to speak about it, but then there'll also be, I think there's at least one Istio session at I/O, and we'll also have some office hours for people that are interested in getting involved with the Istio open source project or anything open source really. So definitely, if you are going to be attending that, come by and say hi.
Yeah, this Red Hat, we're going to have a number of distinct sessions. We're also going to have workshops as well, so it's going to be like Istio overdose all over as well, the same as it's been happening with the conferences lately. So it's going to be all good.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be a good one. And then also in May is Container Camp Australia. So if you are down under in Melbourne, that's also going to be a good one. That there'll be an Istio workshop there as well. So you could just make a global tour of Istio things, or pick the spot that's closest to you. We do have a Istio meetup group that meets in the Bay Area, and then we also have one in London. So those are the two groups that are dedicated to all things Istio. Check those out if you're interested, and if you want to start a meetup group in your area, please reach out to me. Happy to help out. We can help with swag and all sorts of fun stuff and content. That's also a big thing. Zach personally loves to speak at every meetup. I'm totally kidding. He's going to strangle me for that. But Zach has created some great content that others can use for speaking at conferences and meetups. So we've got a lot of great slide decks and things that we're happy to share out. A lot of them are in the team drive. But as we've discussed, before, when we have new releases coming out fast and furious, sometimes things need a quick update. So we're happy to help out with that as well. So anytime you're interested, and if you also want to speak I've had some people reach out, wanting to speak at a conference or speak at a meetup and just, want some help kind of thinking through whether it's like title and abstract for a call for papers or it's an actual presentation needing some additional resources, please do reach out because we are happy to help out with that.
April, I don't know if you mentioned there's going to be also OpenStack Summit at Vancouver, and there will be like, I think over dozens presentation on Istio, and this is going to be a very, very popular topic at OpenStack Summit as well this time around.
When is that happening?
It should be, I think 25th May or something in Vancouver.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's the 23rd, around that time.
Okay, I'll find it and add it to the calendar. That's a great point. If there's anything that you look at the calendar and it's not there, I can give you access to add stuff, but please don't delete things. And then I also, if you're not ready for that power, if you just want to send it to me, I can add it to the calendar and we can make sure we get the word out about all of these. I also use the calendar to kind of help promote things on our Istio Twitter. So it's a good way to see what's coming up and help get the word out about that. So if you see something missing, yes, please let me know.
Yeah, April, you mentioned about Istio London. I just put in the chats. There was great talks by Dan and Liam from Istio London. So I highly recommend you guys watching the recording.
Yep.
If you want to learn Istio user scenarios, how do you consume Istio piece by piecemeal? If you want to understand a little bit deeper within Pilot, lots of inter calls. So definitely watch out those two videos.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out, Lynn. That's a good point. And that's also a great kind of jumping off point for someone if you wanted to, lead a topic discussion at a local meetup or presentation. We can help you, I think Dan shared his deck, but maybe he didn't put it. I don't know. We've hit a max on the community drive. So I know it's been acting a little wonky lately. But if you want to grab some of the slides or something and you're not seeing it right away, just ping me and I'm happy to get that out to you. We also, for anyone who's interested in putting together a deck, and I'll put this link in the working doc as well. I have a link of sailing and mesh theme photos that you can use for any presentation, things like that. So because you got to put a sailboat on it. So if any sort of general presentation help anyone's looking for, happy to include that. And thank you, Stephen, for putting the link to the OpenStack Summit there in the chat. So that's helpful. So if anyone's interested in hitting up Canada, there's a link there. So we can go to Canada, Australia, Copenhagen, or San Francisco. Lots of good choices for Istio goodness. Let's see if I can get my tab over. Does anybody have any questions that we want to cover on the call? No questions yet. Okay. Feel free to unmute if you have a question that you want to add or something you want to talk about with the team that's on the call. We have a good bit of folks that are actively involved with the core contributions, so we should be able to cover things.
I had two quick questions, actually. The Istio meetup, I couldn't find that on meetup.com. If you could share a link to that, that'd be great.
I can.
And then I had a question about the LTS releases. What is kind of the expectations that we can have for that? I know that 0.8 is going to be one, but what is the support level for that?
So the basic idea there is that the LTS releases, so I guess in general at this stage, Istio is forward fixing problems, right? So as we uncover bugs, we're fixing them and then they'll make the next release. the LTS will actually go and backport significant bug fixes and that kind of thing. That's really the biggest point there. From a tactical perspective, we hope that there's pretty minimal changes from 0.8 into the 1.0 release. We'll still have multiple point releases after that, but the goal is that really we spend most of our time hardening that last LTS release into the final 1.0 release.
And how long would we expect the 0.8 to get fixes for after 1.0 comes out?
Until 1.0 comes out. I think after 1.0 comes out, I think we'll be dropping that. I think our plan is one LTS at a time. And so 1.0 will obviously be the kind of official LTS after that comes out. And that'll have a much longer support period than previous ones.
And I heard a rough estimate of midsummer for a 1.0. Is that still true?
Yep, that's still what we're targeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, a good way to think about the LTS is when you go through a lot of task and user journeys on our website, they will be validated against that release. But for the monthly release, we don't have energy to validate everything there. So you probably, a lot of our users have pioneered some of the tasks on the IO reporting issues. So we put a lot more focus and testing on the long-term supported release to make sure our documentation is correct for that single release.
Great, thank you. And thank you for the link to the meetup. I saw that in the chat.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how, so we have a Meetup Pro account that's also a benefit. If anyone does want to start a local meetup in your area, we'll pay for the meetup fees. And it goes under the Meetup Pro account. So it's still, the URL makes it seem like it's just San Francisco, but that URL does link to the London group as well, and would link to all of our groups as we, grow our Istio meetup empire. Does anybody else have questions that you want to ask or want to talk about what you're working on? All right, so everybody's an expert on Istio. Going through all of our different channels to see if we've got any comments, or I'm gonna make sure I don't miss anything from anybody.
Something already been discussed or something I don't know, people know, is Istio ever going to be part of CNCF, or it's like is it like planned to be in the sandbox or in the incubation or anything like that, or it's going to be a separate project?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. That is a question that we get a lot. We are not currently a member of CNCF, but we do have, of course, a great working relationship with them. And we've had discussions about, joining CNCF with them before. You may have noticed that, it's like you mentioned, they've got the sandbox now. When you look at the criteria for all the different projects, we view Istio as being kind of in between sandbox and incubation. And we want to go in as incubation, essentially. We have a goal of, our focus right now is getting on production ready, which we know people are using it in production, but we want to be able for us to say, yes, go forth and do it. So our goal is production ready, and also, getting meeting those requirements for incubation. So our hope is to enter at an incubation level. So we're waiting till we can basically check those requirements to get to that. But we are certainly, big fans of CNCF and work very closely with them. And honestly, a lot of our processes are, our code of conduct and things like that. Like, we're already using what they have because we have so much close connection with them. So that is where that stands. I don't have an exact timeline just because we're quickly chugging along on getting to that production level point. But yeah, we're hoping that we can get things resolved quickly and get things moved over.
Thanks a lot. That was my feeling as well. Just I want to confirm if that's gonna happen eventually. Thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. We are very we understand that for open source projects, we want to have that impartiality. And like I said, we love CNCF. So it seems like a good home, especially given, cloud native as a landscape. But we just want to make sure that, we're doing it for the right reasons and that we're doing it at the right time. Don't want to do it too early.
I have another question.
Yeah.
In .7, 0.7, the idea of a gateway was introduced, and I went through, the documentation was a little limited. I was wondering if anyone here could maybe describe what it does a little bit more. I realize it's a non-Kubernetes specific way of defining ingress pieces.
Yeah. So I'll link in the chat in just a second. I'll link the design doc that is backing the gateway. But the general principle there is that one of the big problems with the Kubernetes concept of ingress is that it's kind of a lowest common denominator spec, and additionally only it mandates what your proxy looks like on the network, right? It says you can only listen to 80 and 43, and you can only accept HTTP traffic. So our goal with Gateway and the new virtual service is kind of twofold. It is to split the L3, L4 proxy configuration from the L7 routing service configuration. So Gateway's intent really is to describe what a proxy looks like on the network, what ports it listens on, what protocols and names it exposes on those ports, what secrets it uses to perform TLS on those ports, that kind of thing. Without talking about how routing occurs, what services sit behind it, that kind of a deal. So that was the real intent there, is that the gateway describes what things look like on the network, virtual services bind to a gateway and describe how traffic can flow through that gateway.
And if our use case fits into the Kubernetes idea of ingress, right now that's supported, you're going to create the gateways from the ingress resources. Is
Yes.
that continued going forward?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we will always support. Now, we won't be adding support for annotations and for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We're really just going to support the base ingress resource, which is not super expressive by itself.
No, it's not.
But under the hood, we convert that into a gateway and serve using that. But that will continue to be supported.
Okay, good to know. The second question I had is, we're attempting to put Datadog metrics in. From the documentation, I was unsure, is the Datadog adapter something that is exported from Prometheus? So we have to run Prometheus to collect the metrics and it's pushed up? Or is there a way that the Istio pieces can push directly to Datadog?
I was going to say, does Ryan from Datadog want to jump in?
I can jump in here a little bit. Like I said, we are developing a native integration ourselves, which connects directly to the Prometheus service on the mixer, and that's configured from your Datadog agent. So that's the way that we're doing it internally, and that's kind of going to be our supported mechanism going forward. We haven't really looked at the adapter that is available in Istio yet.
So just reading. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. We just, that was kind of done independently, and we've got a team working on the Istio integration here.
Ryan, is that at a place that we can use it?
Let me grab some docs.
But reading through the Datadog adapter that does exist today, it does not depend on Prometheus, it looks like.
Yeah, I read through that doc and I don't think it does. I think it does the same interesting thing.
Yeah, so it uses, so there's a lower level protocol between the Envoy sidecars in the mesh and Mixer itself. And so the Datadog adapter today looks like it's written to use the lower level protocol. So it doesn't depend on StatsD or Prometheus or anything like that.
Yeah, it looks like we're publishing the StatsD metrics directly to the agent.
Yep.
Okay. Ryan, if there's documentation on how to set that up from the official Datadog side, I can find that, or if you link it, I can just read it.
Yeah, let me see if that's GA yet. I'm not really sure. So I'll dig that up real fast for you.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
Yeah, Patrick, just give you a heads up. I don't think the gateway stuff is ready for you to attempt in 0.7, so you probably want to wait until 0.8.
Our use case fits into the ingress resource currently. It won't in the future, but I was actually really hoping Zach's answer was true. because we can just continue what we're doing with the ingress stuff right now, and then when it comes to the point, we can migrate to the gateway.
Yep.
Oh
So
yeah,
there's
you should be able to continue.
yeah. So there are definitely some bugs in the existing implementation now, but we'll be tackling those coming into the 0.8 release.
Okay, great.
Well, I'm surprised you're happy with the existing ingress, honestly.
I didn't say I was happy. I said we fit into the use case right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to talk offline. We can talk more about some of your future use cases as well, just to make sure we have them covered.
Yeah, sure. I can put my email in the chat if you want to hit me up.
Yep. That
Cool. Anyone else have anything they want to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up. So we have a couple of guys using the Istio today or trying to explore it. So we have guys from the PlaneGrid, GitHub, if I hear it correctly, Datadog. Do you guys probably want to share architecture or and bring this into this community meeting so everyone else can understand what exactly you guys are doing, how, like, what are different considerations that you are making while you are building it, understand the use case, everything? That probably will be helpful to the rest of the members. Of course, you can always write a blog and publish it, but I think there is a company called Namely who did this similar a presentation probably 2 or 3 weeks back, and I think it was really, really helpful for the rest of the members. So maybe you guys might consider doing that. It doesn't have to be like really ready quite, right? Because getting ready sometimes takes quite a lot of time.
So to that point, Elish, so this is the audience here from Red Hat. We're going to have at Red Hat Summit 2 OpenShift customers talking about their usage of Istio. Unfortunately, I cannot say the name right now, but hopefully I'll be able to do that soon. But they are also like very large scale, millions of transactions a day thing,
Yeah.
running on Istio. So it's going to be. And the intention is that so we're running an early access program in Red Hat for a few customers, and they have agreed to share with us very detailed use cases about what they want to do. Some of that we'll need to see how much of that can be shared with the extended community, but of course our intention is to contribute everything that we can upstream, all our everything that we learn, everything that we need to fix, everything that needs to be done to do that in upstream. But yeah.
Gotcha. Very nice. Yeah. So whatever you can, guys, feel comfortable sharing online, would love to see that.
Yeah, and definitely join the working groups. I mean, that's the big thing for your specific areas that you're interested in. Even if you're not planning to actually contribute anything upstream, it's always helpful for the working groups to get your use cases, like Zach mentioned, and make sure that we're accounting for all of those. So I encourage everybody to join the working group, even if you're just sitting in and listening. And then, I was going to say, and just let me know how many hoodies I need to bring, Diogenes, for whoever, your top secret customer. We want to make sure that they get the appreciation from the
Sure.
Istio community for running Istio. It's always it's one of those things, like I said, where we know what's happening. We're just waiting for people to feel comfortable to talk about their use of it in production. So it's really exciting.
Yep, I would definitely do that. Cool, thanks.
Cool. Does anybody else have anything you want to add?
I just want to say I did find that doc, and it's dropped the link in chat there.
Oh yeah, perfect. Thanks, Ryan. All right. Well, if no one has anything else to share today, then we can probably get 30 minutes back in our day. All right, then I will say bye. We do have this recorded. We'll get it recorded. We'll get the recording on the YouTube channel, and then I'll also post the chat log as well, so you can get access to all the links and all that good stuff too. So thanks everybody for joining. Great to meet the new folks and see all the familiar faces as well. Thanks. Bye.